Hey there, MJ traders and investors. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Today is Sunday. Happy Sunday, December 29th. Hope you're having a great weekend. In this video, we're going to be discussing when I plan on loading the boat on MJ stocks. I know this is something I've talked about before on quite a few videos. I wanted to make a video specifically for it. And again, my plan is once crypto tops out over the next few months, in my opinion, at least some point in 2025, that is when I'm going to be looking to rotate a lot of my crypto profits into more beaten down MJ. And there was a recent interview with Cannabis Growth CEO, current CEO, who's on his way out, David Klein, and he even mentioned that, a lot of the interest right now in this demographic, a lot of the MJ investors, they're also crypto investors. And that's just where the popularity is, right? We know that the stock market is a popularity contest. And when things are hot, they're hot. And when they're not, they're not. And as of right now, MJ is the least hot sector on the planet. So eventually the tides will turn, right? And a rising high tide lifts all boats, but we'll get there eventually. And I'm going to go over some of my top picks as well that I'll be looking at whenever I do start to load the boat, even more than I already have. I've been saying this for a while now as well, that crypto, once it starts to top out, I'll rotate into MJ. But crypto, my number one crypto holding, which is XRP, is worth more dollar-wise than my entire MJ portfolio. And if you haven't seen my MJ portfolio, you can just check out, search Pow Group, and then MJ portfolio. It should come up. The latest video was a couple months ago, and I've got about about a dozen, I think somewhere around 13 or 14 different MJ stocks last time I checked. And again, my number one crypto holding, XRP, dollar-wise, is worth more than my entire MJ portfolio. And the reason for that is not because not because my passion is for crypto, not because I was born to create content for crypto, and I love crypto. I like crypto, but I love MJ, right? That was my passion. That's why I believe that I was put on this earth, was to kind of spread the MJ gospel, if you will. But you got to call a spade. And, the crypto industry is going to be a 50 to 100 trillion plus industry at some point. The MJ industry will be lucky to even get to 1 trillion, right? So it could be 50 to 100 times this total addressable market, right? In terms of, market cap. So, you have to realize things for what it is. And MJ's been in an almost 5-year bear market, and crypto's been in an almost 5-year bull market. So again, there's going to be opportunities with both, but MJ will have some similar percentage returns when it's all said and done. It's just we're not even in the same ballpark with the amount that this industry could see in terms of market cap. Before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, you'll be notified on any future content. And as always, this is not financial advice. You should never buy or sell anything that I mention in this video, because I'm not a financial advisor. So never buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or write. You can also follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Can't stress it enough. This is for entertainment purposes only and not financial advice. So where to invest your $7,000 in your TFSA, which stands for tax-free savings account contribution, in 2025. If you're Canadian like me, on January 1st, you will get an additional $7,000 that you can contribute to this account. And if you're like me, again, you've already maxed out your tax-free savings account. And the idea with that is just as it reads, everything in that account grows tax-free. So you get a certain lifetime amount, and then once you hit the lifetime amount, each year you get an additional X amount of money. And this year it's going to be $7,000. So I'm going to be waiting. I'm going to be rotating my crypto profits. I think the crypto market is going to peak at some point in February or March. Then we could see a pretty sizable correction, and then one final move into the fall of 2025, and then a multi-year bear market, more than likely sometime, it'll probably last into 2026 and maybe even into 2027. So what I'm going to be looking to do is I'm going to be looking to sell probably 70 to 90% of my entire crypto holdings leading into the spring of 2025. Come springtime 2025, in just a few months, I believe that I will have sold around 70 to 90% of all of my crypto bags, all of my crypto holdings. And I'm going to be rotating a lot of those crypto profits into MJ, and I'm going to be saving that entire $7,000 for my TFSA. Now, the only thing that may change this is if an ETF comes out for XRP. I do want to save at least half of that for XRP, but I think by the time an ETF comes out, I think the price would already have shot up too much that I wouldn't want to buy at those crazy high levels. So I think I'll probably wait until 2026 contribution room renews to add to my XRP position in my tax-free savings account. And that's only if we get an ETF here in Canada. So I'm Canadian and that's where I'm from. So I have to abide by Canadian rules. So as of right now, that's my plan. But I'm going to be at least half of that TFSA is going to be allotted for more beaten down MJ. And then I'll probably use quite a bit of cash for, just a regular cash account. I'll probably put some in my RSP as well. So your RSP is a registered retirement savings plan. So essentially all of the gains grow tax free, but when you take it out, then you're taxed, right? And the idea is you cash it out when you're retired and you're not working a day-to-day job, or you're not working your regular business, let's say, and you have lower income. So you take it out when your income's lower, and therefore you're in a lower tax bracket. You're not taking money out of your retirement account when you're working, because that would create more taxes in a higher tax bracket. So the names that I'm going to be looking at, I'm pretty much packed on Tilray. I was tempted to add when we were getting close to around $1. We hit 114, which is the daily bear flag target. It hit to the penny. It was absolute perfection. And then we shot up to $1.52 right after hitting $1.14. So that was technical analysis perfection and textbook bear flag. And then it shot up about almost 34%. So I'm pretty much packed on Tilray. I might look to add one or two more times just because it's in my tax-free savings account. Curaleaf, I'm going to be looking to really load the boat on that one. That's one that I think is super undervalued at the moment. It's very similar to Tilray in terms of their business. They're a Canadian operator through Northern Green Canada acquisition. They have a ton of business in the US, obviously, and then internationally in the UK, EU, and they're very similar business model to Tilray. OGI, they're the number one now in terms of market cap in Canada. I don't expect that to last for very long. It's kind of like a game of tag you're it. Sometimes we see one LP take the reins and then it's just been alternating. But ultimately, I do think Tilray is going to be the absolute juggernaut in terms of Canadian LPs and then global powerhouses as well. But Organogram, I think, is super undervalued as well. And I already own quite a bit of all of these, but I'm going to be looking to deploy a lot more capital into these ones specifically. SNDL, I really like their business model as well, as they're very differentiated. OGI is 100% MJ play. You've got Tilray, with their distribution business, their alcohol manufacturing, their MJ business, and then their wellness business. Curaleaf, all the same pretty much as Tilray, but it is a 100% MJ play and does have its select hemp line as well. SNDL, you're into retail, alcohol, and MJ, and they're also a producer. You've got CGC, which is more of the ancillary type businesses, right? They have a lot of partnerships with, kind of big celebrities. And I think, this one, after the Acreage deal and seeing what all went on there behind the scenes, it just seems like CGC is too big to fail, right? Like, I'm not a huge CGC maxi or anything like that, or even a huge believer, but it looks like the powers that be are really getting behind CGC, and the fact that Acreage, that takeover happened and they, just basically shafted all of the Acreage shareholders after, like a 98% correction on CGC from all-time highs, maybe even 99%. It's manipulation, but it's also just wealth destruction. And in my opinion, I think CGC is one of those names that's just too big to fail. They have their stores in Bickle, which is very differentiated. It's arguably the best vape company in the sector. And then they're also a producer, and they've got a lot going on, right, with their Canopy USA and Jetty Wana Acreage. So I think they're definitely a compelling investment as well for the long term. High Tide, can't say enough good things about High Tide. I own a lot of High Tide as well at the moment. Same thing with CGC, SNDL, OGI, Cura, Tilray, all of these names. But High Tide definitely going to be looking to add to that as well. And they're just into MJ retail, right? So they're not paying excise taxes. They're not a producer, but they are looking to get into international expansion. So the US and the EU as well. And I'm actually looking to get Raj Grover on for an interview. I was speaking with him. He's traveling for business at the moment. So when things calm down, hopefully I can have him on at some point soon. But what you want to get into the habit of doing as well is, and I'm not telling, this isn't financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do or buy, sell, or hold. I'm just saying, in my opinion, never invest any more than 5 to 10% into one sector, especially a high risk sector of your net worth. And if you are going to do it, if you're going to invest 5 to 10% of your net worth into, say, the MJ sector, spread it out amongst like 6 to 12 different companies. Don't go too thin. You don't want to over diversify, but 6 to 12 companies, depends on how much money you have. If you've got $10,000, $20,000, maybe you want to put it into, 8 to 10 companies. If you got more than that, maybe 12. But if you only got, somewhere around $10,000, well, you might be better off just picking 6 companies and dispersing it that way. You don't always want to go with these ETFs because they charge a fee and you're already getting hit with, 80, 90+% corrections and you're paying a fee. You're basically paying a fee for them to lose 80 to 90% of your money, right? So I think you're better off to just pick a few individual companies long term and make sure that you're taking your initial investment out. So with my crypto portfolio, I'm very close to taking out my initial investment and I'm going to have the rest just ride it. The rest is going to be like 90% profit, right? So I'm going to take out my small amount that I initially invested. And you don't need to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in these industries to make life-changing wealth, right? If you have $10 million, okay, well, maybe you put $1 million into one sector or $500,000 into one sector. But if you're $100,000 invested into MJ or crypto and your net worth is only 100,000 or a few hundred thousand, well, you're breaking the golden rule. Like that's way more than you'd be willing to lose, I would wager, if you did lose it all, right? So you want to make sure you're not betting your life savings. You're not, you're not taking a second mortgage on your house or anything like that. But what you want to do is make sure you're taking your initial investment out, especially with these high risk sectors. So when I take my initial investment out here, probably likely within weeks, I would think in crypto, I'm going to take that money out and I'm going to use that to start buying up more beaten down MJ, right? And then I'll let the rest of the profits ride. And then once I start to cash out those profits at even higher levels, then I'll continue. Maybe I'll put another 5% of that into MJ, right? So eventually you just start using house money. And what I see so many people do is they invest, $100,000, $200,000, and they're pretty much tapped out. They don't have money for rent. Their family hates them, and they're just an overall stressful person, right? And it's anxious. They're anxious. They're frustrated. They're angry. They're everything under the sun, right? So you got to be careful of that. It's like a vortex that you can just get sucked into, and everybody thinks it's a great price, but it can always go lower than you think, right? So these prices do not bother me in the least because, like I said, I never broke the golden rule. I never invested any more than I was willing to lose, and I'm still just dollar cost averaging. I still believe in this sector. We'll do a quick shout out to a couple of other names in the space as well. I really like Cresco. They're definitely not my top 5 or anything, but Cron. Also like them. Shout out to Green Thumb. Again, I think that's more of a safer bet. I don't think you're going to see generational wealth or anything on Green Thumb, but I do own a little bit in my portfolio. Shout out to Cannabis Biotech. Also really like them as well. Trulieve, I don't own any. I own it indirectly through MSOS ETF right now, which is just a very small position. VFF, I own a tiny bit as well. And Oxy, I think, is a company that's, again, a very small position for me, but I think has a huge upside potential for the risk versus reward factor. I think we could see massive reward when it comes to Oxley. If we go back to all-time highs, you're talking 100x, 200x, like $1,000 investment. Most you can lose is $1,000, and the most you can make is unlimited. Like you can make 100 grand, 200 grand. If this thing goes back to all-time highs eventually, who cares if it takes 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? That's life-changing wealth, right? And very, very minimal risk. So going to end it there. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. We'll continue the conversation there. Do you agree with my picks? And let me know if you're looking to do the same, because like I said, even David Klein alluded to it in an interview with TDR. And it's very true that people who invest in crypto also invest in MJ. And I think it's going to be a similar situation where when it tops out at some point, I think in 2025, likely in the first or second quarter, that money's going to rotate and it's going to go into MJ. I think it's going to be similar to what happened when Canada legalized in 2018. We're on major reform on the horizon for the US, and that's the biggest market in the world. And I think we're going to see a similar scenario where a lot of that money from big tech, crypto, AI is going to rotate into MJ as we have a huge catalyst approaching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth, and we'll catch you in the next video.